Hi, Sagittarius Rising. Welcome back to my channel. We are going to be looking at the last 4 days of the month from the 27th of May until the 31st of May. We are only covering pretty much a few days worth of data, but actually it is a very busy period of time. Okay, so I'm going just all over the place here, so just give me a second. So we are going to be kicking off the week with the 28th of May because we have got a bit of an astrological break on the 27th. And the 28th for me is a financial and creative reality check. So, what really happens is that we have got Venus going through your eighth house, squaring Saturn in your fifth. And this is very much looking at a friction between your financial assets and your personal joy. Venus in the eighth house, Venus here wants security, ease in joint ventures. It wants a comfortable rapport with financial backers. But that square to Saturn, which is sitting in your fifth house, the house of creativity, self-expression, romance, and independent kind of like passion projects, this is a classic clash between a deep financial obligation or partner resources and your desire to create freely. So you might want to be investing money into a creative venture, launching something, a creative project, spend resources, something purely for your own joy. But maybe a boundary check from a partner is coming and telling you that no, you cannot spend money on that. Something is slamming the brakes on your expenditure. It could be also an internal wave of self-criticism that might be telling you that your creative ideas are not good enough. They are not structured or practical enough to be profitable. Because the fifth house is also the representation of entrepreneurship. And I'm trying to give birth to this creative project, but I keep hitting walls. Now, Saturn in your fifth house acts as a strict auditor of your joy. It can feel like that we have no time for a party, we have no time for celebration. So, are you relying too heavily on good vibes or external funding without building a realistic step-by-step structure or plan for your creative expressions, for your creative products? That could be a question there. Of course, that Saturn can also represent that I've got too many obligations towards a child. Maybe this is a practical scenario where, unfortunately, you're not getting any type of support financially for being able to raise your child. This could also indicate a bit of a creative block where you have got the ideas, but you don't know how to kind of fund them. On the next day, Ceres will be entering your seventh house. And Ceres is about nurturing. It feels like that the cosmos is giving you a tool to handle that Saturnian pressure there, which is kind of tightening up the mechanics of your projects. And then all of a sudden, with that series, we start nurturing more our clients just by engaging with them. We start nurturing a little bit more how we reach our clientele and then who we collaborate with. So therefore, it could represent certain type of collaboration opportunities. Of course, this could also indicate that you are kind of investing into your romantic life as well. Maybe with Saturn in the fifth house, for example, your intimacy department has fallen a little bit. And then with Ceres, we start introducing a bit of a self-care program in our relationship as well. Ceres is coming from your sixth house now. So this series has focused on daily tasks and chores and a lot of health matters as well, a lot of work. So whatever we kind of started in that sixth house, we're going to have to implement that in the seventh. So maybe you had to solve a lot of business problems in the sixth house. Maybe you were in total isolation because you had a lot of work, you were looking after your business. And then this series says that what if we kind of celebrate, for example, and then I'm going to take out my business partners for a lunch or a dinner to kind of let the hair down a little bit. Of course, we can do a lot of brainstorming with our associates. We can map out a collaborative offer that involves communication of some sort. If you are a certain type of a consultant, this says that your business is sustained right now through dialogue, teaching others on a personalized level, giving your individual clients, for example, high quality, kind of like practical mental fuel. Now, this could talk to us about, of course, a bit of a warning sign as well, because Gemini tends to be sometimes scattered. So don't promise your time to 10 different potential collaborators at once, because this might be pulling you apart. So focus on the high quality partnerships that genuinely stimulate your intellect and support your long-term vision. On the same day, Chiron actually reaches 29 degree of your fifth house, which is Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer, and they're reaching this absolute final kind of critical degree in the house of creativity, joy, visibility, self-expression, entrepreneurship. And Chiron has been here since 2018, exposing every single wound you carry around, your unique voice, your creative worth, your right to take the center stage. It has brought up past pain regarding times you felt unseen, rejected for your unique self, authentic self, maybe even played somehow when putting your original work out there in the world. Maybe you couldn't be proud of it. Now, at the beginning of the transit, maybe you have dealt with it differently, and then you became defensive, angry. This 29 degree says that I'm just going to be an unapologetic version of myself. I don't really care about the opinions of others anymore. I think you are likely going to experience situations in the next 4 weeks, which is going to be echoing this old visibility trauma. Maybe a critical piece of feedback, a creative block, a sudden fear of public judgment might trigger those familiar feelings of I'm not talented enough, it's not safe to show my true colors, and so forth. But the way to deal with it must be completely different than back in 2018. Maybe you overcompensated by trying to copy someone else's blueprint. But now this is all about sovereignty. I'm going to be looking at my original work. I'm going to be proud of it. I'm going to realize I no longer need anyone's permission or validation to call myself, for example, an expert. So this could be a huge breakthrough. Please remember that Chiron will be on the 29 degree for almost 4 weeks, and it's going to come back into the sign of Aries. So this is going to be a good almost 1 year, or well, at least a good 8 month period of time by the time you might be able to clear this completely. On the 29th, Hera moves into Virgo, which is your 10th house, and on the 30th, Circe enters your ninth house. So the asteroid of commitment enters the top of your chart. So that's the professional contracts, business systems, career departments get a bit of an upgrade. Maybe you are not necessarily interested in corporate promises anymore. You just want explicit clarity on your daily operations, your career trajectory. It's all about being committed to a profile, being committed to a branding system as well. And then I'm going to be optimizing the system. I'm going to be setting very clear expectations with clients and bosses also. And then on the 30th, we have got Circe entering Leo, your ninth house, lighting it up, the house of education, publishing, broadcasting, but also global reach, global influence. Circe represents magnetism and persuasion. So this could, for example, indicate that you are going to be convincing your partner to relocate, or you are going to show or broadcast your wisdom and captivate a broad audience. So if you're launching a book or any type of, academy related matters, sharing your philosophical views on something, this is actually a cue to step up to the podium with that bold kind of royal aura. Because your enthusiasm, that specialized knowledge, can become highly contagious right now. So it is talking to you about global opportunities. On the 31st, Mercury is still out of bound in your seventh house and sextile Chiron in your fifth. So this could talk to you about talking out intimacy issues with your partner, or talking about how you have been hurt by romantic partners in the past and how we can kind of like avoid that. This Mercury is out of bounds, so it is really operating totally outside the box. It doesn't care about traditionality anymore. So if you have been feeling gridlocked about a business contract or unsure how to collaborate effectively without losing yourself, without losing your identity, I think there is this flash of genius that is about to be hitting you. So you can get unconventional insights from a partner. We can have great conversations outside the box, negotiations, strategies we can work out with business partners as well, just to dissolve those creative relational blocks. Simultaneously, the Sun is making a sextile to Pallas and trying to Juno as well on the very same day. And this is about you starting to see the trend and the patterns, for example, in your business endeavors, in your romantic life. And maybe you realize that conversation is the key to it. Or you might start seeing, for example, that I'm going to have to come up with a marketing plan. What type of marketing plan works really well, or teaching materials, or you are about to be making potentially short-term agreements as well, or what applies to the audience and how to attract more audience. And of course, Juno is in Aquarius, so it's an upgrade. So I'm going to be somehow broadcasting a unique program, which is all leading to a professional legacy. The Mercury shifts into your eighth house, so we're going to start thinking about money. We're going to start thinking about, for example, how can we get the buyers to spend a little bit more money, upselling and stuff like that, what type of investments we can make. You have done a lot of business negotiations while Mercury was in the seventh house, and then now we're going to start calculating the numbers, how profitable it is. Let's look at the back end finances. So it's a good time to take all the brilliant strategic combinations and anchor it into something profitable. But we are going to be talking about Mercury in a separate video because it's going to be spending an extended amount of time in the sign of Cancer due to its retrogression. So thank you very much for watching. I mean, I would love to hear your breakthroughs and your stories, insights in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button, and I will see you in my next forecast. Take care. Bye bye.